Hey, I'm Stanton. I'm here today at the Crescent Cymbals studio, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my signature line of cymbals and how I designed them and how they fit my musical needs. Right here I've got my 22-inch wide ride, and I named it the wide ride because I designed it so that it would fit a wide range of musical styles and situations. So it's got a fairly low profile, which means that it's a little bit lower in pitch. I wanted it to be a little drier, so if you can see underneath, it is lathed with a skip lathing. And what that means is an unlathed cymbal is very dry and focused, and when you skip lathe it like this, you leave in some of that dryness. The more you lathe it, the brighter the cymbal is going to be. So I wanted to leave in some of this dryness underneath. I was putting tape under a lot of my cymbals, and this kind of does it in the cymbal design process. So I'll play the cymbal a little bit for you so you can check out what it sounds like. So I use this cymbal in funk, rock, groove-based music. I might use a lighter version of this same cymbal with rivets, and I can use that for piano trio. I have my own piano trio that I play with in New Orleans every Tuesday at Snug Harbor when I'm in town. And I've been using a lighter one of this same design of cymbal, but just slightly lighter with 2 rivets in it, and it sounds killer. Next, I'm going to talk about the Trash Crash. I designed this several years ago, and I get a lot of questions about this one. Very interesting, unique looking and sounding cymbal. I basically designed this with the intent of being able to get a real trashy crash, but also something that you could get a focused but still trashy ride sound out of. I wanted it to kind of sound like some of the classic cymbal sounds that you would hear on some of the Tony Williams records with Miles, but a little bit dirtier, a little bit grittier, nastier. And I actually kind of modeled this after an old cymbal that I had that I bought for 15 bucks off my old band director, Marty Hurley. He had this cymbal, and it was a Zinn, which was a copy of a Zildjian cymbal. And it had these indentions in it, and it had waves in it, and if you played it here, it sounded completely different than if you played it over here. And I just loved the cymbal. And I said, man, can I get that cymbal from you? And he said, what do you want to do with that thing? I said, I want to play it. So I actually played it on my audition for Allstate when I was a senior in high school, and I won. So that cymbal was always kind of meant a lot to me, and the fact that I got it from Marty, and he's no longer with us, but he was a huge, huge influence and a giant reason for my knowledge and success today. He gave me an incredible rudimental background. And so I got that cymbal from Marty, and I want to design the wide ride with that the Trash Crash with that in mind. So I kept sending prototypes over, and kept coming back, and it's like, no, it's not trashy enough. And I said, I don't know, hit it with a giant hammer, give me giant hammer indentations, hit it about 7 times around the edge. And they thought I was nuts when I said to do this, but we did it. It's got 7 giant indentations that kind of function as potholes. And what they do is they break up the sound waves and they kind of create this chaos within the sound waves and create this distortion, this very natural distortion that is as analog as you possibly can get. So I'll play this a little bit for you, and you can hear that sounds great as a ride and also as a crash. Next, I'll talk about the Pang Thang. This is a Pang, and I modeled it after a couple of Pangs that I bought over time. Johnny Vodakovich, my teacher and mentor, played a Pang for years, and I always really dug it. So when I was designing my own line, I wanted to incorporate that sound into the whole palette. I'm not really using crash cymbals in a traditional sense. I like to use things that I can ride on and crash at the same time. So the Pang and the trash crash together kind of give me these crash sounds that are unique and different and not quite just like a normal crash. Even though we have the smash crash, which we'll talk about later, that gives you more of a traditional crash sound. This is giving you a little bit of a different type of crash. I use it as a crash a lot, but you can also ride on it. Next, I'll talk about my fat hats. Right here I have the 15s up. I use the 14s sometimes. I like the 15s, especially for some of the bigger sounding gigs that I do, like with Galactic or some of the more funk-oriented stuff. These sound great when you ride on them or when you play them in a funk or groove context as well. So finally, I'd like to talk about my smash crashes. These are additions to the line, and I found myself still needing crashes on occasion for some of the rock stuff, or with Galactic, even though I'll have the trash crash here, the wide ride, the pang thing, I'll have an 18-inch smash crash over here, and that's useful when I end up over here and need to end something over there. And I mount it off of my 26-inch bass drum. It's very cool. And I'll also use the 16 in some situations as well. So these are designed to sound more like a traditional crash, but I also wanted them to be slightly dark, so they still have the same skip lathing underneath, like we talked about before, which leaves in some of the dryness. All the cymbals have the skip lathing underneath, which kind of focuses the sound and also dries it out just a little bit. So there you have it. That's the whole line, and I find that they fit all the musical needs that I find myself in and all the needs that I wind up needing. And I played everything from jazz to funk to rock to heavier stuff, and this line of cymbals has served me well, and I'm really digging it, and hopefully you'll check them out and you'll dig them as well.